Hello, I am Robert Holmberg. I'm a member of Science Outreach Athabasca, and this presentation is about what Science Outreach Athabasca has done over the last 21 years of informing the public about science and technology. So there are two objectives for this presentation. The first is to document the accomplishments of Science Outreach Athabasca between 2001 and 2022. And the second is to provide ideas for others who wish to do similar activities in promoting science and technology. So what are we all about? Well, as I often say, some people promote sports, some people promote music, we promote science and technology. So the accomplishments is that between those years, we have done over 850 activities. We've done this in more than 25 communities, and we've reached about 44,000 children and adults. So who are we? Well, we're a group of scientists, but also we include people who are just interested in science and technology. And another way of saying who we are is we're a committee of the Faculty of Science and Technology of Athabasca University. And Athabasca University is the fourth established provincial university in the province of Alberta. So who were we? This is our team members, or most of our team members, back in 2002, just a few months after we were established. And one of the things that I'm quite proud of is that 4 of the people in that photograph are still with us today. So the team members of today include all of these people. Most of us are associated with Athabasca University in one way or another. Most of us are indeed scientists, but we have also other people who are interested in science. We have a couple of people who are high school teachers or former high school teachers. So there's a few of us who are retired. And some of us live in Edmonton, and some of us live in Calgary, even though most of our activities are done in the Athabasca region, which we'll talk about in a moment. So where do we work? Well, it's in the province of Alberta, and our logo says to promote science and technology in the greater Athabasca and area and beyond. And beyond, we use the internet. So here's another map of Alberta, and it shows the locations of where we have held various activities over the years. And most of them have been done in the town of Athabasca and the Athabasca County, which is shown in general with that yellow arrow. So most of our activities are in central Alberta. So why do we do what we do? Well, we're all enthusiastic about science and technology, and we want to share our knowledge and experience with others. And although society relies heavily on science and technology in their everyday lives, the general public doesn't really know much about science or technology. And also, small towns and other rural communities have fewer opportunities to see museums or science centers or whatnot. And because we're located in a small area, a small town, we try and fit that bill. So I've divided up this presentation into these 10 parts of what we do, and we'll go through them one at a time. So first is talks for the public. And we have a speaker series that we usually hold 68 talks per year over the fall, winter, and spring in our climate, October to May. And we also have other talks, and these are usually for smaller groups and are often repeated. So the speaker series, we've been very fortunate in attracting a whole range of speakers from our institution, from other universities, from industry, from government, from non-governmental organizations, people who write books, people who make films, and virtually all of our speakers have been volunteers. We occasionally have to pay for mileage or overnight accommodation, and the overnight accommodation is often donated by one of the local hotels or motels. So for the speaker series, about 38% of them were done by Athabasca University professors. 13% were done by professors or graduate students from other universities. Then there were government agencies of various kinds, non-government organizations of various kinds, some from industry, and there were a few non-Athabasca University professors, but from Athabasca University staff who have done talks as well. And then there's some miscellaneous. So we tried to get as many female speakers as possible in our speaker series, but we've ended up with about 2/3 male and a third female. So the venues for our talks vary. Most of them are in Athabasca University Governing Council chamber, and but we've also used various local libraries and various other localities, and this, especially for the non-speaker series, they've been held in very many different places. So most of the talks are just a speaker with their slides, but some of them have demonstrations of various kinds. So when we look at all of the talks, the speaker series and the other ones, nearly 50% are Athabasca University professors, and then AU staff is about 6%. So a little over half come from Athabasca University. Then there's other universities. Then the miscellaneous group includes those governmental, non-governmental, and industry and whatnot. So the topics are mostly biology, but we have done quite a few on photography, and then there's some on astronomy, chemistry, and miscellaneous includes all kinds of things. So moving on to school talks. Well, most of them are held in schools, and we give talks from pre-kindergarten up into high school, so a variety of ages. And most of them are done in the Aspen View School Division, which includes Athabasca, Boyle, Grassland, Rochester, Smith, Smoky Lake, Thorhild, and Vilna. And we also bring in students into our Athabasca University teaching laboratory, and these are photographs from a geology session, and this is a photograph from a chemistry session. And occasionally we have talks that are of interest to a broad range of students, and so we hold them in school gymnasiums. This particular one was on biology. This other one was on filmmaking. The speaker was talking about how he made films with wolves. And then after school activities. So they're held in the school, but in after school things. The photograph is of Girl Guides, but we've also done talks with Cubs, junior forest wardens, and scouts. So here's a summary of the talks. We've done 258 talks, over 8,000 students, and the average is put down as 32, but the talks in the individual schoolrooms are usually quite a bit less, but because of the talks in gymnasiums, the average goes up. But we tend to hold about one talk a month. So the topics are overwhelmingly biology, but there's also some chemistry, astronomy, geology, and a pile of miscellaneous topics. And the vast majority are done by Athabasca University professors, and there's about 10 of us who do these things, and then 21% are done by other people. So now we'll move on to field trips. And field trips are for adults, children, or both. This particular one was on fungi. This one was primarily on birds, and this one was on plants. But occasionally we go out onto the Athabasca River or various local lakes, and so we're out on the water. And we do these in the winter as well. So the lower left photograph shows some children who are studying animal tracks. And the other photograph was a trip along Muskeg Creek where it becomes a bit of a canyon. So we've also done Christmas bird counts, and this is done in cooperation with the Crooked Creek Conservancy Society of Athabasca, and we've done this since even before Science Outreach Athabasca existed. And we've also helped advertise such bird counts in other locations. And then we've held a bunch of butterfly counts, and this was done between 1999 and 2018. And in 2001, we had the highest number of attendees in the province of Alberta, because there's these butterfly counts are held right across North America. So 43% were nature walks, and then there were 34% in bird counts, and the rest were in butterfly counts. So we also have science day camps, and this is again done in cooperation with other agencies. So the Athabasca Regional Recreation people who run the Athabasca Multiplex. Then we have work with the Junior Forest Wardens and also the Youth Apprenticeship Program in Lac La Biche. And these are usually held outdoors. This particular one is obviously on biology, but we've done things for like panning for gold. And then we've held a number of astronomy workshops. This was photography in the night sky that was done between 2013 and 2018. And again, in cooperation with the Rotary Club of Athabasca, Athabasca University Observatories, and various volunteers. And the AU outlined in the forest there was done during the workshop. Sometimes we do see such workshops indoors, and this is an example of one done on mathematics and computing. And then we bring students often in the summer into our teaching laboratory, and these are photographs from a chemistry session. And occasionally we have to go to larger facilities. This one was done on unmanned aviation vehicles, and so was done in a much larger area. So we've also done robotics camps between 2010 and 2014, and then in 2017. And you can see that for every student participant, there was every 2 students, there's probably 1 adult volunteer. So the majority of these day camps were in astronomy, and then biology, and then photography, and then robotics, and then again a number of miscellaneous topics. So now we'll move on to major presentations, and we define major presentations as 80 people or more participating, and usually it's well over 100. So our first ones were the Karvanen Nature Film Festivals. Albert and Pirkko Karvanen had owned a cinematography business, and they produced a whole pile of videos and films, and then they donated their time and their productions into film festivals for us. This was again held in cooperation with Crooked Creek Conservancy Society, and in 2004 we had about 1,000 people attended, and in 2006 we had 1,200 people. We've also participated in chemistry magic shows, and this is Dietmar Kanapol, one of our chemists who likes doing these sorts of things. And this involved just about the whole university as well as the general public for volunteering to prepare for this stuff. Lots of explosions and some music and some strange costumes. But in 2001, there was Lab Survivor, which attracted 400 people. In 2003, Lord of the Benzene Rings with over 600 people. And in 2005, Chem TV with over 600 people. So we also helped with the Athabasca River Basin Conference in 2007. And this involved, again, a whole pile of different organizations, the Athabasca Peace Initiative, Crooked Creek Conservancy, and Athabasca University in many different departments. So we attracted for over 480 people over 3 days. And also associated with major presentations is this bibliography of the Athabasca River Basin, or BARB for short. And the illustration shows a map of Alberta with the Athabasca River Basin superimposed. And you can see that it occupies nearly a quarter of the province. So Science Outreach Athabasca started this bibliography, but then donated it to the Athabasca River Basin Research Institute, or ARBRI, which is part of Athabasca University. And so there's now over 30,000 publications in the bibliography related to science, history, social science, economics, and traditional knowledge. And if you want to find it, BARB AU for Bibliography of the Athabasca River Basin, AU for Athabasca University.ca. So in summary, AU professors were involved in 62% of these major presentations, and others were about 40%. And again, biology predominated, but promoting Science Outreach Athabasca there were quite a few of those. And then there was chemistry, astronomy, and other topics. So now we'll move on to traveling exhibits. So in the beginning, we borrowed some small traveling exhibits from various people. This one was from the Canadian Museum of Nature. It was a mineral exhibit, and it went to 350 students in 2002. And then we borrowed exhibits from the TELUS World of Science, formerly called the Odysseum. And they had a night sky presentation with a traveling planetarium. And we attracted over 200 people in 2002. And then in 2003 was over 1,200 people. So we've also borrowed exhibits from Science Alberta Foundation. This one was on, was it Jungle Fever? Yes. And then Murder in a Minor Key. And you can see from that photograph that adults as well as students were interested in that exhibit. And then we decided that, well, instead of just borrowing exhibits, why don't we do our own exhibits? So we made up this cabinet that has drawers and lights and various facilities for making a traveling exhibit. And it visited 14 schools in the Aspen View School District and various libraries in the communities. So here's an example of one, mollusks, snails, clams, and squids. And the photograph on the right shows a boy looking at a drawer depicting clams. And this next one was on birds of the boreal forest. And it was the picture on the left is showed in one of the local libraries. And on the right shows some human tools for analogies with various bird beaks. And then we had one on arthropods, arachnids, crustaceans, and insects. Most of these were realistic plastic models, but quite a few dried specimens as well. And again, the drawer on the right is showing the crustacean drawer. We also did an extinct and extant bison skull exhibit that went to the County of Athabasca, various libraries and schools in the Athabasca area. And then this is sort of a traveling exhibit. It's some of our members decided to create some science backpacks. So we made up 25 junior and 25 senior backpacks with various science activities. So on the left is a photograph of the backpack and the set of the junior activities things. Some of them were paper-based, but others were going out in the field and doing various things. And we distributed them through libraries, schools, even provincial parks. And then when people got tired of them, we started giving them out as promotional things at our various talks. So now we'll move on to educational resources. And so we've produced a number of brochures on butterflies, dragonflies, birds, and mammals of the greater Athabasca area. And this is again done in cooperation with Crooked Creek Conservancy Society and other volunteers. And more recently, we've done, this is far more than a brochure because it's 104 pages on mushrooms and other fungi of the Athabasca region, done by one of our members of Science Outreach Athabasca. So now interpretive signs. This was the first one we did on a rock that contains fossils of clams and snails that from the ancient seas that used to go through the center of North America. And we made this interpretive sign at Riverfront Park in Athabasca. Includes aspects of astronomy, biology, geography, meteorology, and agriculture. And you can see that it had a number of movable pages, so we would replace the pages on occasion to keep it more current. And this is a sort of interpretive sign. We produced an arthropod mobile using commercially available models of insects and arachnids that was hung up at the university for a number of years. So our website, it's our homepage is scienceoutreach.ab.ca. There's no www, but this is an example of what our homepage looks like. It has pages for kids and teens, pages for parents and teachers, and these are mostly web links for these groups to other internet sites. But it also has spreadsheets of the Athabasca University collections of plants, birds, and mammals, and it has copies, electronic copies of our educational resources. So now with YouTube videos, because of the COVID pandemic, we weren't able to have a face-to-face talks, our speaker series or other talks, and so we started doing our speaker series through a video conferencing program called Zoom. And because it was recorded, we said, well, why not we put it on YouTube? So that's what we have done. And this is our YouTube channel. We've now got about 35 videos on various topics, though some of the topics are fairly large things and were broken up into smaller bits for easier viewing and easier downloading. So if you want to see what we've done, go to our YouTube channel. So lessons learned. So even with mostly volunteers, our outreach activities still require funds. Funds for getting materials, for making things, funds for advertising our events, and also funds for labor, for things that we don't have the expertise or can't get volunteers to do. And one of the things we found out is that funding sources prefer new short-term projects, not continuing ones like say example our speaker series. And so you need to set goals for yourself and obtain collaborations with various groups and establish a track record to be able to get funding. So this is an example of our grant applications between 2002 and 2009. So we went to the provincial government, the federal government, municipal government, and various industries. And we were lucky to get some money up just about 70% of the time. We had about 30% failure rate, but and when we were successful, we never got the total amount that we asked. But we got major funding sources of over $10,000 from each of the following. So Athabasca University has been very good in supporting us, but beyond them, we have got outside money from a whole pile of different institutions and grants and individuals, and we have now attracted over $500,000 in outside grants. So the first big one was the Alberta Science and Research Investments Program that started Science Outreach Athabasca, and thanks to Dr. Lisa Carter, who initiated that grant application. But we also got grants from Alberta Pacific Forest Product Industries, from National Sciences and Engineering Research Council, Suncor Energy Foundation, Alberta Culture and Community Spirit, Alberta Ingenuity Fund, Access to the Future, and then Albert and Pirko Carvin as individuals donated us a significant amount of money. So going back to our lessons learned, administrative work is necessary to pay the bills, to advertise, to get meetings together, and often it requires a paid position. And we've been lucky enough to, through grants and through Athabasca University, to get a paid position to help us with that. And we've done a diversity of project because it involves a diversity of people with different ideas of what to do, but also because we're doing different projects, we attract different people to our activities. So we sought and got cooperation from many different groups. And we often tried things that we had never done before, beyond our expertise and experience, but we were usually fairly successful. So we advise, if you're going to do these sorts of things, to do that as well. And keep records of your accomplishments. That's where all of the statistics for this presentation came from. And there is volunteer fatigue. So you can see that some of our activities ran for a certain period of time and then stopped. And that was mostly because of volunteer fatigue. People get tired of doing the same thing again and again. So we've advertised our group by initially getting a logo that was produced. This one on the left was done by a high school student, and it has evolved with professional visual designers to this thing. It's an aspen leaf with a caterpillar munching on it and a sort of an electron going around it. And it's been around so long that the person who produced the original logo now has children of his own, and his children are now participating in science outreach activities. So we've used this logo for banners for, say, our butterfly counts and other things. We've used it in information booths promoting Science Outreach Athabasca and Canada Day and other events and various open houses throughout the years. We've done t-shirts. For butterfly counts, we produced 2 different t-shirts, and you can see for a robotics camp, we also did t-shirts, and there are different colors for the different groups that were involved in the robotics camps. So again, help and cooperation from Athabasca University has been great, especially from the Faculty of Science and Technology, but also from just about every department in the university, and a lot of individuals who volunteered at various times to help us with various events. And then we've also got cooperation from a whole pile of groups. Crooked Creek I have mentioned several times, Aspen View School District, Athabasca Regional Recreation People, Junior Forest Wardens, Athabasca Peace Initiative, Canada World Youth, Athabasca Native Friendship Center, and many individuals who volunteered to help us at various times. So if you want to get in touch with us or you want to help us in any way, please go to our website, again, scienceoutreach.ab.ca. There's a link there, and you can reach us. So thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully we can cooperate or see you at one of our events.